All right, welcome back, everybody. I hope you all had a great Halloween. I'm just sitting here chilling with my buddy, and I thought it'd be a good time to, get hopped up on my kids' Halloween candy and watch some magic. So I thought I'd start out with actually some one of my favorite plots in magic here. This is the. I think my neighbor is excavating their entire backyard right now. You hear it? I think he's gonna go and thing in a minute. Yeah, that's a great content. Yeah, there it is, the clunk, clunk. Right. I think they stopped. I'm not sure if they're done for good. Hopefully. What was I saying? So I'm out here with my buddy, Zombie Head, and I thought we could watch some magic together. And I thought I'd start with one of my favorite plots of magic, the Torn and Restored card. And of course, we're going to watch and focus on some of the greatest performances, focusing on this plot, starting with Guy Hollingworth's Reformation. This was back in 1996 on the World's Greatest Magic 3. This was a series originally hosted by John Ritter, and started in the mid-90s, and it was great. It was every year they'd have literally some of the world's greatest magicians, both stage illusion, manipulation acts. Okay, it's not completely done. And close-up and grand illusions. They usually finish the show with some big spectacle stunt illusion, like Hans Klock making an airplane appear, or an island move. There was a bunch of them at this time, just magic specials. Copperfield, Lance Burton, Penn and Teller, World's Greatest Magic, Champions of Magic. And it's great now because we're kind of back in another renaissance, another heyday of magic on television with Fool Us and another Champions of Magic show, and we've had multiple magicians featured prominently and even win America's Got Talent. I mean, we're great, but this was kind of my golden age of televised magic, all right? So, and this, the World's Greatest Magic series, was one of my favorite, and a lot of the close-up magic I saw influenced me a lot, inspired me. And this was one I think I missed initially, but I had started hearing about him doing his Torn and Restored card and how amazing it was. And everyone was talking about him doing this piece-by-piece Torn and Restored card. This was after Copperfield had already performed. That's him taking it all to the dump now, I guess. So this was, I'm pretty sure, after David Copperfield had performed Torn Asunder, Chris Kenner's Torn Asunder, on his special, which actually we're going to watch next, because that's another one. So let's get started here.
Because we haven't had anyone choose a card yet, and that's what most magicians do. So why don't we try that? Can I ask you, madam, if you'd be so kind? Can I ask your name, first of all?
Very formal.
Fritzy, thank you, Fritzy. I'd like you to reach in there and just take out a card for me. Just grab one out. Okay, have a look at it. You can show it to everybody. Okay. Okay, that's perfect. In fact, you can even let me see it on this occasion. It doesn't matter. Yes, you can. Trust me on this one. Thank you. The King of Clubs for the people at home. And I'd like you, if you'd be so kind, as to sign your name on it to authenticate it for me.
If you don't know, Guy Hollingworth was a barrister, a lawyer in England, or at least in school to be. And, or no, he was still a lawyer. I think he still is a lawyer, actually. But he does magic as well. And his style is very, as I said, very formal, very proper, yet a very dry sense of humor as well.
Looks like this. And I'm going to fold the card in half.
So he's folding, he's gotten it signed, and he's folding it. It's nice, and this is currently her signature. And
the reason for doing this is it gives me.
And then throughout the routine, you still see a signed card. And as I said, this is a folded Torn and Restored card, which people would do, and you can see that more straight edge there.
Of course, if you think it's just some kind of illusion, and I haven't really torn the card
up. Which even when I started messing around with my Torn and Restored card, that's what I started with.
I have really torn it up, and I'm going to continue to do so, going right the way down. So we have.
And again, that is her signature you're looking at there.
I would have, as we discussed earlier, 4 separate pieces. Okay. And the idea is to take them piecemeal.
There's some clever work with the sampling signature in this routine that allows you to actually show her actual signature throughout a lot of it.
Tear it up. Putting them back together isn't so impressive. So then, we're going to start with these 2 pieces. Watch these 2 pieces. Put these just, if you'll excuse me, in my mouth.
I love the contrast of the formality of his presentation and his outward persona, and then still having to stick cards in your mouth.
Seems to be working. We'll try it again with the next piece.
Great first restoration. I mean, to be fair, they all look pretty damn good in his hands.
Okay, good, yes. Now the last piece, of course, is the most difficult, if you think about it, because there are two edges, thus making it twice as difficult. Magician's logic for you. Now watch, it's important that you notice this.
Yeah, everybody seems to use a line like that, even I know I would. It's a nice touch. You can't quite tell that one corner looks off, but that actually is the actual alignment of the tear. Like those do line up. Another nice feature of this. It's not at all as obvious with the folded card, you know, but you will get some odd tears, and you can kind of highlight in his routine that is lining up. Yeah, it's great. And then in the end, like I said, it's like he said, it's their card, it's their signature. There's no tears. Mowing the lawn again. Man, that is really loud. Just give me a second. Well, it's not the same neighbor. I think this is now the city going by and disposing of old trees, it looked like. Wait a second. Let's. Yeah. Not the same house that was doing the other excavation before, so who knows? 'Tis the season for lawn maintenance and tree disposal, I guess. Alright, so it sounds like the tree guys have moved up the road, finally. And the neighbor doing the excavation stuff is still not back. Yeah, I can hear the tree guys going, but they're further away now. So yeah, back in the mid to late 90s, early 2000s, I was loving watching these shows. I would record them on my parents' VHS tapes. Yeah, I am that old. Yeah, I was born in the 80s. Oh God. So these television specials really shaped my adolescence and a lot of my early magic. From seeing, Michael Ammer doing his Cups and Balls, Renee Levon doing his Oil and Water, It Can't Be Done Any Slower, Leonard Green's just chaotic work was, but it was still so good watching it again. Anyhow, that's not what we're watching right now. All right, we are watching, oh shit, this is going off soon. You know what, I gotta get another plug to plug this in and I will be right back. All right, where were we? This has been a great use of my lunch hour. All right, so where was I? So we're gonna move on. We're gonna watch David Copperfield now and his performance of Chris Kenner's Torn Asunder. Now this one, if I recall, predates Hollingworth's performance. Let me double check when that was. Was it Fires of Passion? So this was 93. And what did I say World's Greatest Magic 3 was? 94 or 96? Yeah, 96. All right. So yes, I was correct. This performance, this release predated the televisation of World's Greatest Magic 3, obviously. So this was the one that I remembered seeing first, and this one I actually saw. Like I said, I missed the initial airing. I missed the initial airing of World's Greatest Magic 3, so I had to go back and find that when it re-aired. You can just Google everything on YouTube back then. But this one I definitely saw around the time it played, and this blew my mind. This one is the one that really influenced and shaped my obsession with the Torn Restored card to begin with. Because like I said, I started working on what eventually became Seamless before I saw World's Greatest Magic, and so, but it was after this. So that's one of the reasons also why in this one you'll see he does the I'm not even going to spoil it because it's just great to watch. But that ending actually ended up influencing and completely reshaping Seamless to what it is today. You'll see. I'll explain after. So here we go. This is David Copperfield, 1993 with Wayne Gretzky.
And he's going to let me tear up his $500,000 baseball card just so I can try to magically put it back together. You sure you're going to let me do this?
Well, David, they trusted you with the Statue of Liberty and you brought that monument back. I think I can trust you with my baseball.
I mentioned this in one of my other videos. The use of the card was a brilliant touch to create an instant interest. Obviously, having a celebrity there like Wayne Gretzky was another way to authenticate the experience. It's not just a random spectator, although that is now what is common, is to show actual, people that you know are real. People that wouldn't be up there putting on a good face because, publicity, but people who you can now trust as genuine. So back then, the thinking was a little different with who you would necessarily show reacting to the magic in person. But it still does a great job at authenticating, like the fact that he's going to use
The world's most valuable
this.
baseball card for close to $500,000.
the world's most
Now I'm
valuable
going to try
baseball
to
card.
tear it up and put it back together, believe it or not. Now, Wayne, the first thing you've got to do is take the card.
At this point, you can probably assume that that's not the real card, because I don't think
Want me to
that.
face this card?
Wait a minute. That baseball card is worth $500,000, and your signature is worth about $100. So it'll increase its value by $100.
Well, at least 99.
It gets cheesy too, and that kind of emphasizes, I think, one of the things Copperfield did a lot of, I think, is he staged his magic almost as if it was a play or a movie, and he loved a lot of the old, like,
I don't want to ruin your day.
what's the name? Hitchcock, for example.
You just ruined it right there.
So this would have been planned out, but that doesn't mean that the reactions aren't necessarily real. So, that's probably not the actual card, obviously, but he probably didn't even sign the actual. The excavation guys are back. But obviously Kretz didn't even sign the actual card, but it's still, it's a great emotional hook for this, using this object that,
About $125,000 each. Only if I put them back together. It's a good thing it's insured.
Wait a minute. The insurance only covers accidental damage. It doesn't cover willful destruction.
Well, I guess the heat's on me. Guys, we need to...
like, I mean, those were clearly scripted moments, but the magic is, like, he wasn't cheating. This was Chris Kenner's routine. This is gorgeous. Something that Chris Kenner shot on VHS, I think, and he sent to he was already working with Copperfield at the time, but he showed him on VHS. But look how beautiful his restorations are. And it's a tiny card, so he covers the whole thing, but it's just that simplicity of just touch and then reveal. And I also love that mystery of, like, there's a beauty to being able to show, not covering the pieces, but there's also a beauty to this mystery of holding it there and then revealing it.
But it's all creased up now, which pretty much ruins my card.
No problem. All I have to do is iron them out.
That was one of those moments right there. That stuck. I'm gonna pause it just because I'm gonna pause this.
That's great.
That was one of those moments that was fried into my brain as a kid. Like, I mean, almost every moment of that restoration was, but that and the steam and just the idea of iron, and then seeing it come out completely flat, like, because you can see the creases clearly before he does this, and then it's just perfectly flat. Like, that's what I was talking about. It ended up obviously influencing Seamless, because as if you've seen my project, there's no folds at all. And although I love that great moment at the end of just seeing the ironing out, and you don't get that in mine, it obviously takes a little bit more prep work to do something like that. But I also love the idea of that the card was seamless at the end. So anyhow, I'll touch on that again later. So let's get.
That's great, David, but what about the signature?
Oh, Wayne, no problem. Remember, you collect baseball cards.
Oh, wow.
I love that one. Again, that was another one.
I collect autographs.
Friday.
Name dropper.
All right, so that, that was incredible. Like, and that peeling of the signature afterwards and just letting it dangle. Copperfield knows how to present magic. Another cut. Not the construction guys, this guy. Copperfield knows how to present magic and really kind of milk a magical moment. I mean, even you'll still see people do this. They'll take object and then they'll make it disappear, and they'll kind of, like, one finger at a time reveal like that. And that, if you do that, if you were anywhere near my age or grew up doing magic in the 70s, 80s, or 90s, learning magic, then you do that because that's what you saw Copperfield or Doug Henning do. You didn't even realize that it's so dumb. It's like, that's not like a trademark move or something. I'm not saying it was an innovation. It's just, he knew how to milk a visual on frame and really showcase what it was. His influence is still felt today, obviously, and he's still performing now. So if you haven't seen it, God, go see Copperfield in Vegas. And I mean, if you ever get a chance to see Hollingworth work, if you're a magician, if he's lecturing or performing at any any of the conventions, oh God, please go see him. His work, his sleight of hand is top notch. But I really want to talk about some of those moments in Copperfield's performance of Chris Kenner's Torn Asunder. That ironing out of the cards, like I said, I loved it, not just for the visual, but just for the idea that, oh no, that was a nice idea, that if you're going to restore the card, why wouldn't you get rid of the seams? And most torn restored cards that were folded would end with the seams still there. It was a practicality issue. So I thought, well, okay, maybe I won't have that magical moment of ironing out, but what if I just got rid of the seams altogether? So that was one of the things that eventually, came back into that memory of that would then re-influence my development of seamless. But also that other moment, that peeling off of the signature, that's David Williamson's idea that he uses in his, I believe he published it, I forget where it is, I'll put the credit for that. But when he published it, it was in his 51 cards to pocket routine, and it ends with the spectator selection and it's signed. And then he would finish by apparently peeling the signature off of the card. Speaking on the signature, as much as I loved that, the idea of peeling off the signature, and I've used it in different performances and in other contexts, I think I actually prefer to at least leave the signature, especially with, for example, with Seamless, where there are no folds. Some people will make the argument that you want to leave the folds in the card and not iron them out because it reminds them of the fact that there were tears. I'm not sure I agree with that, particularly because then, it also lets them fold it back up and then see, it can be looking like a quarter or a half. If you're down to a card that you've torn and restored, and then, if you're going to restore it, I do think that if there are seams, you should get rid of them because it's not fully restored until you do. But the signature itself, I would not, I'm not as much of a fan of doing that generally in most performances with torn or restored card, because then it's no longer a unique item. It could be any Jack of clubs, and especially if you want to let them keep it. I think actually having the signature on there and leaving it, that is the one permanent alteration to the card that I think philosophically you should keep in a torn or restored card. You know what? Speaking of Seamless, how about if you guys haven't seen it, let's have a look at it now. I'll show you guys the trailer so you guys can get an idea of what I'm talking about with regards to how I didn't use any of the folding. So okay, let's play that now, all right? Ready? All right, let's watch.
Go ahead, brother. That's awesome. Thank you.
It's Glenn West here, and this is Seamless. This is my approach to the torn and restored card, a classic plot of Magic. Approaching this, I wanted to do something a little bit more direct. I didn't want to have the card folded, meticulously creased, and then little by little torn down the edges, dragging out what is tearing paper. If you hand a card to a spectator, they're not going to fold the card, they're not going to crease it, they're just going to take it and tear it. That's where I wanted to start it. Taking a card, no fold, just tearing it. Nothing whatsoever, so that when it was restored, there were no folds, no creases. As each restoration happens, the card is left perfectly seamless. So I came up with a method with no gaffes, no gimmicks. It's just sleight of hand. There's no sticky stuff, there's no tape, no magnets, no glue. I also wanted to be able to do it signed and showing the card front and back throughout the entire tearing and restoring procedure, which meant I couldn't just use a random dummy signature. So I had to come up with a way to allow me to do this where I could actually show you not only the face of the card, but the face and the signature throughout the routine. I'm Glenn West, and this is my approach to the classic torn and restored card, Seamless.
I'm saying is you're already dead. It's not gonna heal. You don't have to worry about like not pain. It's just dangling there. Like, just rip it off. Be done with it. It's not. Oh yeah, sorry. Where were we? So anyhow, that's Seamless. That is my approach to the Torn Restored card. So you might be able to see some of the influence in there. And like I said, the memory of David Copperfield performing Torn Asunder was something that very much shaped how I wanted to, like originally I was trying to like recreate that look, and then eventually it evolved to me saying, well, why am I even doing it with folds, And eventually they went away completely, and that's what I ended up with there. But still, those were the roots of it in a lot of ways. It's actually kind of interesting watching the Torn Restored card plot as it evolved from that. Because even before that, like J.C. Wagner's Piece at a Time, or Terror at a Time, I believe, which his original Torn Restored card that was actually largely influenced a lot of the moves, even in Guy Hollingworth and a lot of the other ones, didn't have a piece-by-piece restoration. It was an all-at-once restoration. I think he had an odd corner left at the end. But his also influenced. But seeing that evolve into the piece-by-piece restorations and those sort of delicate, semi-mysterious restorations where you're covering one piece, to then like Danny Garcia's Torn, and then who actually Dormant. I'll put the credit here for Ripped and Repair. That was the other one down here, where again there was a way of handling the restorations where they were kind of just delicately showing cleanly both pieces come together, and I really like that too. And I used to definitely see some of that influence in what I'm doing in Seamless, I think. And then watching that evolve, and then to what we see today is a lot more of a minimalistic approach, where it's not even the card being torn in half, it's literally just the corner. So it's interesting watching that evolution and what's, in kind of how we focus on that plot in Magic. So this was great. I'm definitely gonna do more of these. I loved revisiting those two. It took me right back to childhood, and man, I may even just rewatch some of those old specials now. I found a couple of YouTube channels. David Copperfield specials I think you can actually buy now on DVD or maybe even Blu-ray from him. But I think like World's Greatest Magic, you gotta just search the internet. So I found a few links. I might include some of those for you. And anyhow, yeah, that was it. Again, if you guys liked this, I hope you guys really liked it. This was great for me. Hit the like button if you like it, and don't forget to subscribe, because we're going to be doing more of this, not just tips, tricks, and tutorials like normal, but yeah, I'm definitely going to be doing more reaction videos like this. This was fun. What do you think? Yeah? Your opinion doesn't matter anyways. You only got one eye. So, all right. I will see you next time, guys. Peace.